I am just putting on a print, so I will be with you very shortly. I didn't want people to think I wasn't streaming again today, so put a dash more resin in there. We are good to go. Lovely stuff. Well, hello and welcome back to the live stream. Today I thought we'd do something a little bit different. And I thought we would look at some buildings that I have recently acquired from my perennial favourite from War Bases. So, as you know, I'm a big fan of doxing myself, but I remembered to tear my address off the front this time. So this is how they came. Now these you'll see are 10mm. The idea of these is that they're going to be useful for epic scale Napoleonics. Hello Son of Salop, hello Gruesome, and hello Bub. So these are going to be for epic Napoleonics. They're also going to be usable for 10mm War Master as well. Now there is something of a oh no, I was late, David, don't worry. There is something of a what's the word I should say? A saying, I guess, that you should, particularly for smaller scale figures, you should go for a scale down from the models that you want when it comes to buildings. So what I mean by that is, if you are wanting to play 15mm, then you want to go for 10mm buildings. If you want to play 10mm, you want to go for 6mm, and so on and so forth. And that's fair enough, because the buildings are always a lot larger than they would be in real life, and that's because the units don't represent one man. So when you have a building that's, you know, the size of an entire company of troops, well, you know, that's really a little bit silly. But it's, you know, it's just one of those things. So I think it'll work for epic, and for War Master, well, that's fantasy anyway, so I'm not too concerned about that one. Now, the reason I am burbling a little bit is I'm trying to set up my laptop so I can read the comments. There we go. Hello, son. Building Wars of the Roses Pikemen. That is cool. Hello, Michael. Would 6mm buildings do for 28mm other than being malnourished Russian infantry? Well, maybe not. I mean, there could be like a model village that you're fighting over, I guess. Like in the end of Hot Fuzz. It could be like that, I suppose. Right, now what I thought we'd do is, well, first off, I'm going to do a review of a model I've had for a while. Now, I went to Element Games here in Sheffield, and I wanted to buy something. You know, sometimes when you've got that feeling that you just want to buy something, and they didn't have much in there, and they didn't have much that I thought, well, yeah, I'm going to print the infantry or the cavalry or whatever. What they did have was a French Guard limber. So here we go. Let's move that out of the way. Now, those of you who have seen my video on the French Guard will know that at Waterloo, and remember these are really designed to represent the armies at Waterloo, the French Guard cavalry, the French Guard artillery got first dibs on any black horses that they could round up in France at the time. So this limber in particular, all these horses should be black. Although, to be honest, these look rather ponyish. So they're not. They don't look like valiant steeds. But that's okay, because they're not. They're draft horses. This is the officer or the driver. Now, he is really nice. I'm looking at the details here. It's a little bit weird how his saddle cloth comes up there. It's a bit strange, that one. But apart from that, he looks really nice. Happy with that. Now, the cannon isn't on here, so that's a bit of a shame. I would have expected to have got a cannon, but I've got a limber. So, I assume... All right, so hang on, I've got two drivers. Are they different poses? Yeah, two drivers, different poses. Now, that's not necessarily the end of the world. This guy here, you could get rid of his little riding whip there, and he would be quite a nice ADC or something like that. But traditionally, it should be you've got your 2 drivers on the limb like that. You've got 2 riderless horses here. So I've got a spare horse. I don't really know what you can do with him. I guess he could be pulling a cart if you've got one of those or something like that. But overall, yeah, a nice little set. It wasn't cheap. It was £12.60. So with it being elements, I got 10% off there. Let me zoom out a little bit. There we go. Hang on. Ooh, what's happened there? So yeah, it was. What's going on with my camera? Bear with me 1 second. There we go. Much better. May I give a suggestion for Sark Lexi? Of course you may, yeah. So yeah, £12.60, not cheap, but a nice little one-off, a nice little vignette, I think. Speaking of buildings, do I think lots of 6 to 10 mil buildings will look better for 15s? Yeah, I mean, well, as I was saying, there is a bit of a truism that you should go for a scale smaller. So if you're doing 10 mil, then 6 mil, and if you're doing 15 mil, then you should do 10 mil. And that's just because of the footprints of the units. This here is the frontage of a company, so 4 of these makes up an entire battalion, and as you can see, that company is not even as wide as the frontage of that building. So that's why people suggest that you go for a scale down, and I think it's a reasonable thing to do. Now, so on to the buildings. As I say, these are from war bases, and I must confess, I've already punched some of these out to speed up today's thing. Now, what I really like about these is they come in 2 parts. Now, you don't have to buy the extra bit. I'm just going to try and get the web page up so I can tell you exactly if there's a price difference and things like that. So these are under buildings, and they are 10mm buildings brackets mini hammer. Now this one I've got here is the Cavendish Cottage, maybe. We'll find out when we pour it out. And this one is cost me the princely sum of £2.40. So I don't think that's too bad at all, to be honest. Now I had the option of having it either just timbered or with stone foundations. Now, because they're for Warhammer, I decided to go with stone formations. I don't think there's any price difference, so it doesn't matter. But you end up getting a kit in 3 parts, effectively. You get the MDF, which makes up the main building. So yes, this is the Cavendish Cottage. MDF that makes up the main building, and a base. You get this thinner card, so you can see the difference in thickness between those there. And this represents the timber and the stonework in this case. Then you get this card here, which has got a little bit of texture on it, and that's for the roof, as you can see there. This came pre-scored. These were all in a frame similar to these, but I've punched them out already. One thing I'm a little bit disappointed by is the windows don't punch out, so that's a bit of a shame. But you know, it is what it is. I think at a larger scale they probably would. So let me see. Now, one of these had a knobble on the bottom, so not this one. So these guys, I've already test fitted them. They go in fairly easy, like so. I'll pop in there, bosh, and then down there. I've probably started with what is the most boring building. Now, what I do like about these though, is the fact that the timbering is separate. So if I take it off the base, that's what it's going to look like when the timbering's on. Now, the fact that it's separate is really good because it means I can spray these one colour. I'm going to spray them a slightly off-white. I'll use skeleton bone for it, or wraith bone it's called, isn't it? So I'll use wraith bone for the building, and then I can spray the timbering with a brown, and that's it basically painted. Then I just need to glue the brown timbering onto the model. So let's get some PVA on here. I'm going to glue them into the base first, then I'm going to put PVA on the corners of the building. I think it's probably the best thing to do. There we are. As an example of how long I've had that PVA glue, it is from Wilkinson's, which is a store which used to be huge and no longer exists. So that's how long I've had that. Now, the last thing I want is, you can see there's a big splurge of glue right in front of the front door there. So that's not what we want. So I'm going to get this little bit of offcut resin and just spread that out along there. Fantastic. Get these in here. Now, as with all things, a box is a pretty strong shape. So when we've got all this together, it shouldn't need much more. It shouldn't need much more strengthening, but we will go for some in the corners anyway. I've got my trusty coffee stirrers. And my trusty old school Warhammer movement tray. We'll blop a little bit more out there. The extravagance of my French limber is balanced by my building pictures. Absolutely. I thought with the limber I'm probably only going to have one or maybe three. But I also want to get some caissons as well. But that's for future. To be honest, I should probably start painting the infantry, shouldn't I? I should probably actually bother about getting an army together before I get all the fun bits. So I'm just working this into the corners. I don't want to put too much on because it is wood, so it can warp. It shouldn't do with this though. Just a little bit down there. A little bit down here. Squeeze it all together. And while that's setting a little bit, let's see what the comments are saying. I started using Bacchus 6mm teeny tiny terrain for my 6mm built-up areas. There are 2mm buildings, a cascade. Yeah, I mean, perfect. Yeah. I heartily endorse that. So, hello, Sweden. Oh, yeah. Now, I've looked at Sweden. To be honest, the reason I haven't done them is because I don't know enough about them. I have started looking into the Swedes and the Danes. But man, oh man, they are not simple. They are a complicated thing to look at. And one of the other things as well is I've got no real background knowing anything about them. So for argument's sake, we'll take the British as a good example. Being British, I know about, the English Civil War and, the New Model Army and then Marlborough's armies and Wolfe and all that good stuff. So I've got a basis in the British Army already. But with the Swedes, I mean, I know absolutely nothing. There's the Gustavus Adolphus. I know that he was a man. That's about the limit of my Swedish military knowledge, I'm afraid. And the Vasa didn't sail very well. There you go. They're the two things I know about the Swedish military. There's no point in talking about the ships because no one cares about ships. So, yeah. So, there we go. That rubber band is probably a little bit hardcore for this, to be honest. But there you go. Hello, Ed. Glad you're here, buddy. Thank you for dropping in. Evening, Warrior History. Hello, Paul. Building bolt action for our next game. Oh dear. So I played a game with my brother of bolt action recently. And to be honest, I kind of cheesed a win. The mission was to get off the enemy's side of the board. And had that not have been the mission, I think I would have got an absolute kicking. But my excuse is, well, I kept my eyes on the prize. played the mission and won the game. But realistically, no, he was all over me. He had quite a good army as well, actually. So the roof here, I'm going to pop on. Now the roof, I may end up doing thatched with some teddy bear fur. I'm not quite decided yet. So we'll see how it goes. I'm just going to hold it down here. Now this is where, because it's white, this is where I take my fingers off, and there's like some big dirty black finger marks on there or something like that. So did I make the mission? It seems. Yeah, that's a fair point, Dan. No, I didn't actually fit the mission. No, we rolled for it. But yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Don with Boots on Toe. Yeah, he brought Swedes to the first Under Eagles to Glory. He brought a Swedish army to that. So I don't suppose I know the difference between the Napoleonic army and the American army of the American Civil War in terms of battlefield organization. Now. I shouldn't have glued that roof on, should I? Because it's going to make it more difficult to put these on. Right, okay. Well, that's to know in the future. What do you mean by that, Julian? In so much as, are you talking in general terms? Like, a battalion was made up of companies, which was made up of platoons? Because, obviously, the American Civil War armies varied across the period. And the Napoleonic armies varied across the period and across the nations. So, what do you mean? Yeah, I mean, a lot of well, so the American armies in particular, I think they took a lot of inspiration from Napoleonic France. I mean, you look at things like units of Zouaves and things like that. So I suspect, yeah, I mean, so a regiment of troops in the American Civil War was, I believe, made up of one field battalion, I think. Don't quote me on that one. But I think they only had one field battalion. And they were largely around about 300 to 400 men. So they were quite under strength for Napoleonic terms. But yeah, I think you're probably looking around about 350, 400 men. Sorry, I'm just looking around for a knife. Bear with me. These clippers will do. But yeah, so you had, companies making up a battalion. And then you had a number of battalions, even if it was one, would make up a regiment. Regiments would then be bundled together in a brigade, which would then be part of a division, then a corps, and then for the Americans, they had quite a few armies, didn't they? So that was the difference between Napoleonics, is you would very rarely have multiple armies, apart from sort of towards the end of the war when all the allies were getting involved. But yeah, I mean, organisationally, pretty much the same. Yeah, if you watch my video from company to corps, the specifics will change. As I say, the number of companies per battalion or something like that. But the terms will still be pretty much the same, yeah. There we are, just tidy those up a little bit. Now, it looks like there's a little bit of a step or something on this one. And then these two here. Which building are we looking at? So we've done Cavendish Cottage. Now, I live in Sheffield, which is near Chatsworth, which is the seat of the Cavendishes. So that's quite a good one for me. What are we looking at now? This one looks like Barton House to me. Yes. Oh, this one was a bit more expensive though. This one was £3.60. So now there's oh yes, oh yeah, definitely Barton House. Now I need to remember not to glue the roof on this one, because that was a mistake to make it. Now looking at the picture on the website, this step thing here must be at the back. Oh yes, it is at the back. I know what that is. I remember looking at this before. So let's go baby, with the walls first. Now what I'm planning on doing with these for War Master, and I will do the same for Epic Napoleonics as well, is I'm actually going to glue these onto a larger base. So I will do a village base, and that will just represent a built-up area. It's not going to represent individual buildings. It's just going to be like, you know, if you are occupying the base, you have occupied the built-up area. I'll probably do 3 buildings, I think, on the base, and that'll represent the thing. I might do 4, maybe stick a tree on there or something like that. 3 buildings and a tree, or 4 buildings and no tree, something like that. And that's just going to, as I say, be a representative of a like a little hamlet or a little village that has been occupied by our Napoleonic French or our Warhammer Orcs. What am I printing at the moment? I am printing. I can't remember what am I printing at the moment. Oh, War Master Lizardmen. I gave my army away to a friend of mine, so I'm currently reprinting my lizards, so I can hopefully do some demo games down at the club. So there we go. There's not a huge amount in the corners there. I might get a bit more glue on that while I'm squirting. Let's have a look. Because the weapons were better for Civil War infantry, they would fire and charge quickly rather than stand their ground. Okay, fair enough. What do I recommend when making a campaign? Ooh, okay, I'll come back to that one. I didn't want to have that affect things. Thank you for how to collect Spanish. That's quite all right. Do I recommend any particular videos on how to play Black Powder? There was one that Rick Priestley did when it first came out, so I would probably just go with that one. Or, I mean, our battle reports, we try and have as much of the game shown as possible. Often we just cut in, but we'll usually try and do the rolls for commands and things like that. The other one is, it's a great channel. I watch all of his videos as soon as they come out, and that is Seventh Son. He's done a couple of Black Powder videos as well, so I can highly recommend those. In fact, I recently watched his battle report on a set of rules I had absolutely zero interest in whatsoever, Midgard, and now I'm going to buy them, and my Vikings may end up being a Midgard army, or certainly my Trojans as well, as another topic, another project. An American Civil War brigade was anything from 2,000 uniforms to as low as 600 by the war's end. Yeah, I mean, I try and talk about that in the videos, the difference between paper strength and actual field strength can be huge. American Civil War Union Army was an Army Corps, any number, division. Right, well, there you go. So that's David clearly knows his stuff. It's not really a how to play, but it's one of his battle reports. He normally explains things quite well, I tend to find. So right now, Gruesome Dread asks, what would I recommend when making a campaign? So the first thing I would recommend is making it. I mean, I could do a whole video on this. In fact, I think I have done a video on this. The first thing I would say is make it so it's as flexible as possible. Not everyone's going to be able to get their games in every month. People are going to drop out. Hopefully, new people are going to want to join. So I have done, yeah. Hopefully people are going to want to join as well. So you need to make it flexible that people can leave and join as necessary. That makes map campaigns quite difficult, I tend to find. So I would probably steer clear of a map as the basis of the campaign. But you might have, again, Seventh Son is a great example of this. His Crusades campaign, his first Crusade campaign. You have a map and you decide that various things are going to happen on it. But I wouldn't have, you control 10 tiles, your opponent controls 5, and he wins the battle. So now he controls 7, you control 8, or, whatever. I would probably stay away from that unless it's a captive audience, unless it's like, you and your brother, or you and your parents, or something like that, unless it's someone who is going to be available to play regularly. I would avoid anything like that, to be honest. We have a weekend event coming in November where we will start. Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's one thing I would say is try and make it flexible. Try and make it visual, make it visually interesting, but not to the extent of, I have 10 tiles and all that stuff. I'd use the maps and things more as a guide than anything else. The other thing I would say is, if you're having a weekend, a tree campaign is perfect. Yeah, absolutely. But again, you don't necessarily have to write the whole campaign out. So, for instance, we had our campaign where we played Catrabra and the other one, Linny. And then, because of the events in that game, i.e. the death of the Duke of Wellington, we then said, well, we think the Brits would have fallen back. Hello, Emerhill. The Brits would have fallen back, and so then it was, they became the Prussians, the historical Prussians, and we flipped it that way. So, try and keep it flexible for what the games are as well. I'm a big fan of a tree campaign, to be honest. The other thing I would say as well is if you're doing a weekend to kick it off, that's a really cool idea, but it does have a danger. So not insurmountable, but just be aware of it. That you could say, right, for argument's sake, it's the campaign weekend and you've got British, French, Prussians and Russians, for argument's sake. And you play 3 games each, and the French win all 3. So in the next games, because they're the winning, they get an extra 1,000 points or something. I don't know. They get an extra 500 points, for argument's sake. The problem with that is you are then leading to a runaway effect. So the person who's doing the best then suddenly gets more, so it's easier for them to do better. So you need to be careful not to do that, because, as I say, that can then lead to a runaway success. When I was working at Games Workshop, one of my most successful things to do was, it was called the Pyramid of Power, and the idea was that you started at the bottom, and then if you won a game, you moved up. Now, it was pyramid shaped, so you had sort of, well, this is perfect. You had 5 slots at the bottom, and then 2 people could move up. It was actually 3. But you had to play someone above you, and then if you beat them, then they swapped over. So it went down to just one person at the top. Now, what we had with that was it started off at 2,000 points, but every level you went up the pyramid, you lost 250 points. So it meant that down here, I'm a newbie, I'm playing this guy, I've got 2,000 points, he's got 1,750. So it meant that there was a lot of swapping around and things like that. And then we had at the top, we had Dan, the store manager. He was the eternity warden. So you then had to beat Dan, the store manager. And if you beat him, then you could get through to the mighty Timrek. That was me. So that was a cool campaign. But yeah, so try, and if people are winning, I know it sounds counterintuitive, but try and handicap the people who are winning by giving them something like less points, or you can give them a less favourable deployment, or they have to go first, or there's a lot of different ways you can do it. But it just means that the players who are behind don't just fall farther and farther behind and feel like they're wasting their time. That's the last thing that you want to happen, is people just feel that since game 1 they've had no chance of even competing. So I don't mean that in a sort of win at all costs way, but in a no one wants to just go and get seal clubbed. People want to have a chance of doing well. Now this one here, I'm not sure if it's right. So it's 2 windows on the ground floor, 3 windows on the first floor. There you go. My thought was that for a couple of map turns where like the original point is played, yeah, absolutely, or just have the map as, like, as I say, like a symbolic thing. So if you're doing, for argument's sake, the Peninsular War, the Brits start off in Portugal. If they win a battle, then they, take, I don't know, Badajoz or something like that. You don't even necessarily have to do a siege battle. And then just, have it that way, like nodes that you move across as you go. As I say, check out Martin and his Seventh Son First Crusade campaign. That, for me, is the perfect way of doing a campaign. It's not how I ideally would do a campaign. Ideally, it would have maps and baggage and all that kind of stuff. but it's unfortunately it's just not really that practical. Which is a great shame, in my opinion. But you've got to be realistic about these things. People obviously have they've got other commitments that they need to do, and unfortunately, the wargaming campaign is probably not the higher amongst them, and especially if people start to lose all their games as well. The Batavian Navy, oh, I love it. For the Grand Tactical Army level like Antietam, Gettysburg, etc., I strongly recommend looking at Altar of Freedom. There's a guy who, please do, Gruesome, please do, mate. Yes, there's a guy down at the club, Dex. He's a big fan of Altar of Freedom. Actually, I think he plays it in 2mm or 6mm. He's a guy who got me back into AK-47 as well, so he's got a lot to answer for. Yeah, the number of Toyotas that I've got my eye on with anti-aircraft guns and BMP turrets and stuff on the back, you would not believe. But yeah, no, I think I bought some 6mm ACW Bacchus. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, they're 6mm, bro. Just like spraying blue and grey. Job done. I'm joking. I know that 6mm is a scale all of itself. Well, I was a little disappointed with this year's The Joy of Six, I have to say. I thought the only thing I bought there were really useful box inserts. And that's just because I felt like I paid to get in, so I needed to get my money's worth. Dex is dangerous for, yeah, he is, absolutely. He's a good guy. He's a good shot in the arm. Thoughts on Black Powder in 50mm? Do it, absolutely. Yeah. Do it. Pop it, do it. Heard the turnout wasn't great. Yeah, no, there didn't look many people when I was there. I did get there a little bit later, though. Black Powder in 50mm, absolutely. I mean, I'm going to play it in epic scale, in 13mm, so I don't see why it wouldn't work in 15. Now, another game I play that's changed scales is Team Yankee. Now, I play that in 6mm, although I have recently just bought a couple of 15mm armies, but I play it in 6mm anyway. And we have changed the measurements from inches to centimeters. Now, some people do, a lot of people don't. They just keep the same measurements, which look a bit stupid to me. For Black Powder and Hail Caesar, for that matter, or Hail Powder, I would probably change the movements, or I would change everything from inches to centimeters. That's probably what I would recommend. It's not for everyone. A lot of people don't, as I say. Some people just keep them the same. For me, though, I think I would rather go with the centimeters rather than the inches. I play 15mm World War II Flames War and Battle Group. Oh, very cool. I've just finished building my Viking army in 28mm, and they've been sat in my cellar for about 18 months now in like a plastic bag. I thought, oh, what's in this plastic bag underneath the Vikings? So I finally got to the bottom of that plastic bag. So I was like, oh, what's under here? And it's my Normandy SS army. So in the near future, I will be painting Angry Waffle Germans in 50mm as well. Battle Group has some interesting ideas on support units. Is that Northag that you're talking about there, modern, Cold War set? Because I've only played it once. It did look quite interesting. But it was to do with like deployment, I think. Don't you have to deploy certain things first, and then you can deploy like your heavy armor assets or something? You do 50mm for everything and a do-over. You know what? I'm the same, but for me it's 10mm. Yes, no, I can feel your pain there. Yeah, I've recently really fallen into to doing 10 mil. I'm doing 10 mil War Master, and I'm wanting to do 10 mil World War One and 10 mil Lord of the Rings as well. So battle group is North Aggies Corps. Ah, right, okay, yeah. Yeah, they both seemed interesting. The Warhammer Fantasy, Warhammer Fantasy War Master, but I mean, I would play Ancients as well. I just don't know anyone who plays it. But yeah, no, the system I think is great. I mean, the system is the basis for Black Powder and Hail Caesar, isn't it? So obviously, I'm a fan. But yeah, no, I really like it for War Master actually, because one of the things I always hated about Warhammer is I like it for Warhammer. Sorry, one of the things that I always hated about Warhammer, it's particularly in the earlier editions, like fourth, fifth, particularly fourth ed, was it was all about your characters, and I'm like, no, I've just read this story where there's like ranks upon ranks of halberdiers and knights and all this stuff, and I can look at my army, I'm like, there's like 6 knights and 12 halberdiers. I'm like, yeah, awesome. So no, I do like the fact that War Master is full-sized armies. Seen Van Dyke 10-12 mil are amazing. I haven't, no, actually. No, I've not seen those. It's difficult trying to balance the naval players so they have something to do. Yeah. I mean, yeah, yes, in a word, yeah. If your campaign is largely land-based, then yeah, they're always going to be a side hustle, aren't they? I've been in Pendragon shot today, and they're 10 mil range decks. So yeah, you said you'd been there. If I'd known, I was going to ask you to pick. I would have asked you to pick some stuff up. But Julian Dale, Plastic Soldier Company have gone mad, going full resin with them. I'm like, oh right, okay, yeah, I'm surprised by that. I've got Plastic Soldier Company World War II Americans. They were not good. I'm not going to lie, they were pretty poor. In fact, I need to rebuy my 50mm Americans from Forged in Battle. So I'm going to go for them. Let me know as I'm going back in a couple of weeks. Yeah, I will do, Richie. I was looking at their Gothic cavalry today because I thought they would make really good Rohan cavalry. Do I like bolt action? Yeah, I do like bolt action. Yeah, it's I mentioned earlier on, I just had a game of it with my brother. For me, I think I prefer Flames of War because I prefer having more toys on the table. And Flames of War does that. Now, the alternative, of course, would be to have a massive game of bolt action, which would be equally cool. But I prefer sort of company level games. But no, I do like bolt action. In fact, I'd like to go to some more bolt action events. I've got a Japanese army that I've got on the go. So, just bought the new edition of bolt action. Yeah, it's different to the last edition. It's certainly better than Horus Heresy 3rd edition. that's for sure. Shots fired. But yeah, no, it's different. The armies are built differently, and the cover save mechanic takes a little bit of getting your head round how to get the most out of it. But yeah, no, I mean, I would say it's still worth playing. One of my ultimate fantasies is to play Flames of War in 28mm on like a 6x8 table or even a 6x12 table. I think that would be absolutely awesome. Thank you, Julian. Yeah, I also enjoyed it. I can't believe I forgot about. I can't believe I forgot about General Darmé. I think what it was in my brain is I was like, I'm not going to talk about it here because I'm going to do like a whole separate section on it, and then I forgot to do the whole separate section on it. I think that's what happened. I prefer when bolt action was a platoon game, version 3 wrecked infantry, CC, and shooting. Yeah, certainly my Americans they much preferred 2nd edition. The BARs now get left at home, unfortunately, which is a shame because I love the BAR, but then I also love the Garand as well. So you know, it means I've got more Garands. So it's not necessarily the end of the world. Thank you, Gruesome. I shall check it out when I can. I am crazy busy at work at the moment, but I will have a look at it when I get a chance. I've got some holiday coming up soon, so hopefully I'll be able to get there. I also haven't even jumped on to Discord yet, so I know I promised I would, and I haven't. I've been very negligent with that as well. So separate video for General Dame 2. Yeah, I'm gonna have to, aren't I? I'm gonna have to now. Like I did the whole video on Valor and Fortitude. I was hoping to do one on Soldiers of Napoleon this week, but I didn't get round to reading them as closely as I would have liked to have done. So I thought it's not fair to do a review on a set of rules I've only half looked at. That's why I've never reviewed Sharp Practice, because I know probably 15% of the rules. Think I know another 50% of the rules, but don't really. So I would need some games of that under my belt. Now, a game that I would heartily recommend is, of course, Silver Bayonet. Now, I do love Silver Bayonet, so that I can review. But yes, no, the Soldier of Napoleon is one that I need to get back to. I'd want to join Discord, but the price is steep. Well, you know, it's one of those things, bro. You've got your direct line to me, so it's not necessarily the end of the world. I'm put it this way: as little as I check my emails, I'll probably check them more than I do the Discord. So, yes, revive the Discord. Yeah, I do need to. You are 100% right, Imreal. British book for Silver Bayonet is out soon. You know, I'm really looking forward to that, because, like, and as with many things in Britain, I think we forget how cool British folklore is. Now, you have to include Irish folklore in that as well. But things like Spriggans and Banshees and Brotherkins and all this kind of stuff. What are the little, like, goblin dudes who tidy your house? What are they called? Boggarts and things like this. You know, it's all about that, man. And then there's German folklore. Exactly, yeah. I mean, they did Castle Fear, which is obviously more Romanian and sort of southeastern European, and they've not even touched. I mean, imagine like the Tyrol, what you could do with that. You know, you could do, you could do loads of stuff in the forests and the mountains and all that kind of good stuff. I mean, the Brothers Grimm were from there, weren't they? So obviously they've got plenty to be going along with. Now this one here is the Preston Forge. Now this is quite an interesting one. That's going to slot in there. That's going to slot in here. I've got a front door and a back door. There's nothing on that one. And then the actual chimney itself is these 3 pieces here. Now, unfortunately, the picture on the website... no, here we are. It does have the back of it. If I can... So where does that chimney breast go? That goes against the back wall in the middle. Right, okie dokie. So, we have the technology. It's a good job that the internet's working up here today, because it doesn't usually. So, bang that out there. Bang that out there. I've actually just finished making a 28mm forge. Just finished painting it. I've got one last thing to do, which for my 28mm LCID scenery, I want each piece of scenery to have a cat modelled on it. I haven't got one for the forge yet. I was thinking of having one asleep by the warm coals, but I also quite fancy having one stalking the birds on the roof as well. So I haven't quite decided which feline I'm going to add to the forge yet. I think for the campaign, the Brits need to have some kind of special rule, remove like a steady line. Yeah, I mean, you certainly could do, or you could like maybe give it to them later on in the campaign. So maybe as they get sort of veterancy points, they could get that. Now I know I said that goes against what I said about not rewarding success, but that could be the price of failure could be that the commanders have realised the troops are not trained, so if they lose their first 2 or 3 games, then you give them steady line back, or something like that. And then if they start winning, then you can take it off them again, something like that. So yeah, that's what I mean when I'm talking about, like, stay flexible, allow yourself the mechanics to add and take away special rules like that. Or again, you can give tough fighter, but the obvious thing to be would be, well, if a unit's destroyed an enemy unit, then they roll on the table and they get tough fighter. Well, that's all well and good, but that means that the best player then gets all of the bonuses, which means that there's no point in playing him in the next game. So yeah, I feel very strongly about designing campaigns that aren't runaways, because the reason I feel so strongly about it is if you don't deal with it in game 1, it then becomes very difficult to deal with later. That's very tight, giggity. It becomes very difficult to deal with it later on, and it can scupper the whole campaign. You've sort of destroyed the campaign before it's even started, and you didn't know it. So that's why I would always say, look, you want to not reward success, but you want to try and mitigate failure when it comes to doing a campaign. It's anti-realistic, I guess you could say. But do you want people to play the campaign or not? If you do, it's just one of those things that you have to put in place. And as I say, you can think of, that is difficult to put together, that one. Probably should have put that together before I put that one in the base. But yeah, it's difficult to rectify once you're halfway through. Now this here, that's where the problem is. There we are. There we go. Look at that. Parfait. Parfait indeed. I can't remember, have they done a Spanish book for Silver Bayonet? No, they haven't actually, and that would be interesting, yeah. I was surprised they went to Canada. I can understand it, because obviously you got the War of 1812. But if they'd gone to like Louisiana and the Battle of New Orleans, that would have been you could have had all like voodoo and stuff in it then. So that would have been much cooler. But you could have had things like Boucanier and all the pirates down there. I mean, I guess they've got the French starter set has the voodoo priestess in it, doesn't it? Losing army gets reinforcements that the winning ones get better. Yeah, I mean, that's another way of doing it. Absolutely, yeah. Be interesting to explore logistics more in campaign games. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those sort of things, isn't it, that they say amateurs think tactics, professionals think logistics. I mean, there is a game called Quartermaster General that was super popular at our club for like 3 weeks, and that's all about making sure that enough sleeping bags get to Burma or something. I don't know. I never played it. It's not really my thing. I think flight driving with 3 battalions in the first battle was yeah. Any ideas on what the Russo-German Legion could be? No, in a word. What do you mean, rules-wise, or rules for the Russia? Yeah, I mean, were they particularly good? Were they particularly bad? Yeah, I'm not really sure on their combat record, to be honest. Now this here is 3 bits together. I should really to the wall, but I am too impatient for that. So here we go. I should also have got the roof to make sure that these were all in the right place as well. But yeah, that looks about right. Victory stretch. Yeah, well, exactly, and that was the idea of the Pyramid of Power. Was you had to. So the idea was that it landed in Lustria. And as they marched through the jungle towards Timrek's pyramid, They took casualties from, like, disease or skinks or I don't know, crocodiles or whatever it was. And that was how he explained it away. But the mechanic was to make the lesser skilled or lesser experienced players, have a better chance against the more skilled players. What time are we on? We've got 7 minutes left. Can I do the last 2 buildings in 7 minutes? I think I can. So that's going to give me 6 buildings, which is enough for two built-up areas. I think I like 3 buildings per area. I might have 4 smaller ones and then 2 bigger ones on the last one. Now this one's nice and simple. This one's just a square box, or a rectangle as it would be in this case. Bosh bosh. That's it, and I think that the key thing is you don't want people going away thinking that they've got no chance of winning or just getting bored of it, because that's when people start to say, oh, I can't play. Something's come up, and then, it all goes to rack and ruin that way, which is why I think the approach that we had with the Morpeth boys of just doing it, I mean, it took us over a year to play all the battles, and we only did it at the sort of big weekends. So it did make it kind of special, which was nice. What the deuce is going on with this one, though? Because there's nothing on this rather large wall here. Is this the Drake house? I think it might be. Okay, well, let's hope there's something funky on the back, timber-wise, because that's pretty lame, if not. Yeah, it doesn't look like there is. Oh, okay. The Russo-German PLWs, except for one battalion, they get nothing too special. Yeah, just you could have possibly give them freshly raised. Could be a good way of doing them. If you didn't want to risk them being poor, then you could just give them normal stats, but maybe hatred French, so they re-roll their first round misses against the French or something like that for the first time in the game, or maybe they get +1 to their morale tests if they're against the French, something like that. Ottoman Egypt for Silver Bayonet. There already is Ottoman Egypt for Silver Bayonet. What else would I like to see? Well, the obvious one would be I'd quite like to see South America. Now, South America doesn't feature hugely in the Napoleonic Wars, but it is there. You do have, like, the attack on Buenos Aires, I should say, and things like that. So that could be pretty cool with some Incas and, like, Aztecs. I know Aztecs are Mexican, but yeah, whatever. Incas are from Peru as well, but yeah, whatever. So that could be quite cool. Germany would be great. Yeah, I'm glad they're doing England. Where else? I mean, Spain, even France. I'm sure the French have got, like, the Beast of Languedoc, and I'm sure they've got some funky things as well. Where else would I like to see? Russia's the obvious one. You got, like, werebears and all sorts of crazy shenanigans going on. So yeah, no, to be honest, I think I like them all wherever they are. They're good. They're good value for money. They're pretty cheap. The minis are of varying quality. I think I like some more than others, but that's just the sculpting style is very two-dimensional. Yeah, Haiti would be another great one. In fact, that's just thank you, David. That has just leapt to the top of my list. Haiti, and obviously, yeah, Toussaint Louverture and all that kind of good stuff. Oh, that would be so cool. Oh, that'd be awesome. I don't know if it's an issue on my end that your video slideshows are low image quality generally. Oh yeah, no, it's just that's probably just because they're low quality. Yeah, I try and do them at 1020, but I don't know. That might be. I hope that's not something everyone has. But I do not put that much effort into the slideshows. I must confess. I assume that most people are listening while painting or driving or doing whatever it is they're doing. That's the way I consume YouTube. So I assume most people are listening rather than watching, which is perhaps not necessarily the case, but I think most people are just listening. But yes, no, I shall look into that more. Thank you for making me aware of it. When we get back in September, I will take that on board. Thank you. I mean, I don't know, but it's worth it. Thank you for pointing it out. I will definitely look into it. So we are with the final house. Now, this one was quite an expensive one. This one was £7, which for what it is actually quite a lot. I think I could have got a 3D printed house for this price. But having said that, it's pretty cool. It's pretty funky. It's named after Sir Walter himself, so it's got to be good. Got a little balcony out the front. It looks a little bit like a ski lodge. So let's see where we're going now. Because it's so big, giggity, it's actually very close to the edge of the sprue. So it's going to need quite a bit of cleanup, this one. I know, exactly £7. I could have got most of a cannon for that. Shocking behaviour. And 10 mil, I could have got 3/4 of an army. Right, so let's see. This one here, that looks to me like it is the first floor, because it's like an overhangy one. It's kind of like a Tudor. Half of these. Exactly. Well, to be fair, that is a... Oh, hang on a minute. I haven't said that. I've got 5 horses in that limber. I wonder if it's supposed to be a 6-horse limber. No, so instead of thinking I've got an extra horse, maybe I've been dicked for a horse. Who knows? Right, so let's get some glue going on. Couldn't wait for 2 more boxes and 3 commands to finally be shipped. Ah, fantastic. Yeah, you'll have quite the army done by then. Yeah, no, the Mayans would be. Well, no, the Mayans and Aztecs are different, aren't they? I think. Oh, the Mayans a bit earlier. They're like 1200, and they do a lot less of the heart ripping, skin tearing, which is, I mean, yeah, is that more fun or less fun? Probably less fun, I would have thought. So, no, the Aztecs were absolute wrong-uns. Right then, so the downstairs looks like they've only got 2 windows, so that's a downstairs wall. That's a downstairs wall. That's okay. We're getting there. That's the back wall, because that's not got a door on. And that's the front one, because it has a door on. Right, okay, look at me. Architect. I'm pretty sure architecture just ram stuff in till it fits as well. Ugh. What the deuce? Right, okay, so yeah, that's fine. Oh, that'll go in there. Do I think the Napoleonic Wargaming hobby is missing anything in particular? I do, Julian. I think it is missing a charismatic, professional Napoleonic Wargaming player who is just awesome and gets paid to do nothing but play Napoleonic games all day. So, I mean, yeah, I can't think of any candidates for that role. But, no, I think, no, to be honest, because it's like one of the grand old periods, isn't it? I would say my frustration with it is that there's so many. It's such a niche part of the hobby, which is a niche hobby in itself. For it to then be further broken down by scale, rule set. Yes, that is a shame, I think. So if I could wave a magic wand and have one thing, I think it would be one rule set to rule them all. Now, there wouldn't necessarily have to be. I'm not saying that it is, but I just wish that, you know, a bit like 40k, you go down the G-dub, and you've got your Space Marines or your fish space communists, and you know that you can throw down and have a game of 40k. You're not, you know, you don't have to worry about scale. You don't have to worry about rules. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Everyone knows that it's 40k, and you're good to go. So I would say that's that for me is HPG is helping, cheeky bastard. That for me is the only, and it's a frustration more than anything else. I think it's, you know, I'm glad that there are so many different rule sets out there. I'm glad there's rule sets to suit everyone's preferred thing, but I would also prefer it if there. I wish there were more of an event scene as well. Now I know we have Under Eagles to Glory, but I wish there were 3 or 4 over a year. So yeah, I mean that'd be nice as well. I wish there was more of a willingness. Oh, well, no, that's not true. No. That's not fair. There is a willingness to go to events. I just wish there were more events for people to go to. Yeah, we do Under Eagles to Glory. I've had criticism of that for, well, you shouldn't be doing Black Powder, you should be doing this set of rules, or you should be doing Epic, and I know the Epic one fell through this year, which is a real shame. You know, you should play 6 mil, you should play 38 mil, you should play, you know. Yeah, I get all that. The thing that I like about Warlord is it Games Workshopifies Napoleonics. So that's a good thing and a bad thing. It's good because it gives you a standard. Again, so I'm thinking back to, say, World War II. Flames of War was the World War II game for a long time. Now, you know, there were other games out there, and people don't like Flames of War. Some people do. There were games like Battle Group was out there all the time, or you've got Open Fire, was it called, or something like that. Yeah, there's been World War II rule sets since World War II, but Flames of War was one that people could go to events. You could go to BritCon, or you could go to Adepticon, and you know you could get a game of Flames of War. And I think Napoleonics really does struggle not having that. I'd love to see Under Eagles to Glory at Adepticon. That'd be absolutely awesome. But you know, it is what it is. So yeah, that's one of the things that I would say. I'd like to see more events around Black Powder. You know, something like BritCon, as I say, or Adepticon, or Historicon, even something like that. You know, someone to step forward and say, you know what, you can do an event of Black Powder, and I know you can do an event of Black Powder because I've done 2 of them. And the people who came to them, I think, or I hope, very much enjoyed them. So it is possible. I just wish that there were more people who had the time and. I mean, you know, it is time, and there's money and all that stuff as well. I wish there were more people who could promote it as an event game. So I need to organise. Yeah, no, I'd love to go back to Adepticon. I really would. Although possibly Historicon. So just did a demo game like sort of Epic Waterloo. One of the chosen. Fantastic. Yeah, no, and that's it. Those people are out there, I think, and people will play. I mean, when we play at Boards and Swords in the Napoleonics, it gets a lot of people being like, well, "What's this?" You know, they've never seen so many figures on the table at one time. And yeah, no, I mean, stuff like that's fantastic. Perhaps everyone went back to days when WRG rules were the rules. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Yeah. I'm planning on doing a couple of demos. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Please don't think I'm saying, yeah, you know, you should be doing it. I'm absolutely not saying that at all. It's one of those things. I mean, Games Workshop's got the whole company promoting it, so yeah, it's not surprising. And you know, Warlord Games is no small company either. So it's a shame the Silver Bayonet doesn't have a starter set. Yeah, that's not a bad shout actually. Yeah, that's 6 mil, obviously. Well, you know what, David? It could be 6 mil. It doesn't really matter what scale it is, I don't think. I mean, 50 mil was the scale for a while, wasn't it? My plan is because it's been asked by people at the club to have a demo. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Silver Bayonet's perfect. because, you know, who doesn't like zombies and vampires and ghoulies and stuff? So yeah, Silver Bay, it's a great game for doing demos with, I think. So he says, not having done any himself. So yeah, that's why I'm certainly not criticizing anyone for not doing it, because I haven't done any. So yeah, absolutely. We are going back paradigms. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the thing is, with the starter box, you can do a decent demo with just the starter box contents as well. Speak to email Warlord about that Gruesome Dread and see if they can provide you with a starter box to do the demos, because they're pretty good at community stuff like that. So yeah, drop them an email, particularly if it's an area that isn't already, you know, a popular area. So here we are. This is Sir Walter Raleigh's house. That's all good to go. I suspect I should have put the steps on after I put the balls. Right, okay, hang on. Let me pull the stairs out a little bit before we dry. There we are. Yeah, because the timbers are going to need to be shivered down there. Scissor me timbers. Finland is nowhere popular in Black Power. Well, exactly. So, you know, if you all say, well, look, you know, I'm happy to be to do some demos and things like that, can you send me some merch? You never know, mate. You never know. The worst they can do is completely ignore you, like they do whenever I email them. So who knows? I still don't think they've forgiven me for my review of their household cavalry. Being the first one who has to do yeah, absolutely, yeah, it is, because you've got to do both sides. So that is the problem. Right, guys, I am over my time. I am going to get horsewhipped, but I'm just struggling to get these stairs back on again now. There's probably the gods are telling me that I shouldn't be. I've been watching a lot of Spartacus Blood and Sand recently, so I'm lucky I've not been. You're lucky I've not been quoting Onomaeus at you, who is he is the coolest TV character in anything of all time. He was cool in 300 as well, old Peter Mensa. And Sleepy Hollow, that he was in a series of randomly. Yeah, he wasn't in a very good series of Sleepy Hollow, though, unfortunately. Right. I'm going to leave that to dry, I think. Well, thank you very much for your company today, chaps. I've been whittering on quite a bit, but we've had some good questions today, so thank you for that. I'm going to quickly go through. I demoed Altar of Freedom at a game store last year in Gaul, and again in Briddy yesterday. I plan to take my battle. Oh, cool, excellent. And how did they go over? Very well, I'd imagine. Honestly, I emailed Warlord when I was hosting Black Seas demo and sent me 2 start sets. There you go, absolutely. Yeah, fantastic. Warlord are, again, they get a lot of hate. They don't deserve it. I think they do some frustrating things. Dresden, anyone? But overall, I think they are pretty good at engaging with the community, actually. Not as cool as Danger Mouse. Well, I was always a Count Duckula guy, to be fair. But thank you very much, guys. It's how your mother's only for 2 Napoleonic armies. Start off small, dude. You don't need that many. You can have 3 battalions of infantry and a small regiment of cavalry. Order all the battalions individually, and then have the regimental commander in the same role as a divisional commander, and you're good to go. I did a video on scales of Black Powder, so have a check of that one. But thank you very much, guys. I will see you later. See you next week. There'll be no video this Sunday, of course, but I'll see you next Wednesday, and I'll see you then, guys. Thanks. I was a grenadier before I was. Thank you very much, Ahmed. Thank you very much, buddy. That's really generous of you. Thank you. But I do desperately need to go. I will. Thank you very much, Ahmed. That's really, really kind of you. Thank you. I feel really guilty that I've got to go now, though. So, as he's got all the grenades with him. That's what it is, mate. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next week. Thank you. Enjoy the weather. It's 32 degrees here. It's too hot for me, but I hope you're enjoying it, and I'll see you guys next week. Cheers.